What's up? This video is basically about prophetic worship in the church, dealing with the music. I know you might be saying, okay, how come I can't see a picture of your face? It ain't about me. It's about Jesus. And that's what the focus should be every time we come to church. It shouldn't be about our riff. It shouldn't be about what equipment we're using. It shouldn't be about what keyboard, what drums we're playing, even the Hammond B3. It ain't even about all that. It's all about Jesus. And so I took a few little notes to check out. And I think one of the most important things when you come to church is about worship. Now, if you go to most churches, the first thing they say that worship, or some people have this perception that worship is a slow song. If you sing something like I'm in love with Jesus or everything, Ty tribute, something slow, they equate that with worship. But worship is much more than that. But the main focus, what I really want to get to, is prophetic worship. Now, I haven't seen any instructional videos on YouTube about prophetic worship. And I don't think I've seen maybe one or two. But I've seen none that deal with the electric guitar. And that's an instrument you find mostly in churches. You'll see stuff about quartet music. You'll see stuff about how the solo will back up the preacher. But what about prophetic worship on the guitar? How do you do it? What is prophetic worship? Well, I think the first thing we need to start off is, what is worship? And does your church spend any time in worship? Now, I've found out that not a lot of churches spend time in worship. They spend time praising God. You see them dance. You see them shout. And you see a few that worship, but very few spend a lot of time worshiping God. Most of the time you see the dance, you see the shout, you hear the music, you know the drum beat on the not one and two, but you hear the drum beat for the praise dance, but you won't hear anything about worship. It's very seldom talked about. It's something that's kind of like the elephant in the room. Everybody loves praise, but everyone has an issue with worship. There's some out there that they love to worship. You know, we got some out there that love to praise. You know, they're the first ones on the floor to dance, the first ones to shout, first one to jump, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what about worship? And it's not a lot of churches that focus on it. It's kind of like deliverance from demons. A lot of churches don't deal with it. And worship is like that too. We have so many churches, and I'm happen to be in the Illinois area, but they don't spend time in worship. They spend time in praise. They love preaching. But where is the worship of God at? And my focus is prophetic worship and mostly worship. So you might say, well, what is prophetic worship? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not it's not something that's rehearsed. In other words, it's fresh. It's kind of like in olden days, they would have a newspaper and it would come out first thing in the morning. That'd be the first edition. There's only one first edition. After that, it's going to be a second edition. That's kind of like prophetic worship. The first thing that God gives you, it's not something you rehearse. It's not something you went over a million times. It's straight from the throne of God. And it's something that comes from the inside. Now, this video is going on 4 minutes, and I'm going to keep it to 5 minutes. One of the things I really want to talk about is, like I said, worship. And worship, prophetic worship is, I'm going back and forth between just worship and prophetic worship, so bear with me. Prophetic worship is a lot like the anointing. You'll see a preacher preaching, you're like, man, he's preaching on the anointing. And you'll see someone else preaching, like, what's going on? It's all flesh there. It's one of those things where you may not always can explain it, but you know it when you hear it. You hear somebody sing, you're like, man, this woman or this man is singing under the anointing of God. And you hear somebody else sing the same song, but you're like, they're just singing from their skill set. It's a total difference. And that's what I want to discuss. So leave me some comments, and this is just going to be a short video, and the next one is going to be a little longer. So again, this video is about kind of starting off about prophetic worship. And I just put prophetic worship on the guitar / the sound of music. All right, comment. Let me know what you think about prophetic worship. And tell me what you think about, music in general in the church.